Learning a language is expensive, isn't it? What if I have a limited budget, but I also don't want to spend a lot of time on it? Watch this to find out. Hi, this is the Tokyo Polyglot. I've spent literally thousands of hours studying foreign languages, and I want to share with you a few tips that I've learned about what's the best and most effective way to learn a language for someone who's on a limited budget, but also doesn't have a lot of time on their hands. So first, let's break down the acquisition of a new language into four: speaking, listening, reading, writing. I make sure that I learn all these in a balanced way so I can make sure that I have a smooth and natural acquisition of the language. So how do I do it? One of the most important things is to make sure you have a system and the right resources in place. And that's what I want to share with you today. Let's start with listening. Told you I'm low budget. So, the winner of the 2021 Tokyo Polyglot Best Tool for Improving Your Listening Skills is langauges.101.com. What I love about LanguagePod 101 is that it lets you practice your listening skills through real live conversations between native speakers. And this point is, I just can't emphasize enough, it's so important when you learn a new language that you learn the new vocabulary and grammar structures through real-time conversations and through context. It just sticks so much better that way. So let's do a quick tour through what it looks like so you can get a taste. So this is the landing page for langauges.101.com. As you can see, they have different podcasts for a bunch of different languages. Let's do Chinese, which I really like to use this one for. Let's skip the whole sign-up process. It's pretty straightforward. You can figure it out and go straight to my favorite type of use case for this website, which is this. They give you a dialogue. Like I said, it's a real dialogue between two native speakers. You have your target language here in Chinese. You have the English. And then you have the vocabulary list and the transcript. Now, this transcript right here, the lesson transcript, is the conversation itself. And then the hosts talk about the conversation, explain why did the speakers use this kind of language, what does this mean, what's the context, and so forth. Like I said, context is king. So that's why this one is really the best source for me. Pretty neat, huh? By the way, if you're wondering how much commission is this guy getting from recommending these things to us, it's exactly 0%. So let's move on to speaking. And this one is tricky because speaking is probably the most difficult aspect of the language to improve. And the reason is simple. You can't work on your speaking if you don't have somebody to speak with, right? If you want to have a reliable way to consistently work on your speaking skills, I highly recommend that you take online private lessons. Now, hold on, I know what you're thinking. Private lessons, expensive, too much of a commitment. But these days, there are so many services that let you do that for a very reasonable price and a lot of flexibility that I think is the best way to go. And my favorite one is italki.com. I use it almost every day now, but I'm a little crazy. I recommend you start with once a week. So here we are, italki.com. Jumping straight into the search page for teachers. Sorry, I'm too lazy to change the display here. It's now in Japanese. What's nice about this one is that there's a bunch of filters where you can choose what kind of teachers you want to look for. Let's just focus on this one, price. You can narrow down the price range and let's take it all the way down for the really tight ones among us, $3 to $9 per hour for teacher. Does anybody teach for so cheap? Well, yep, 51 Japanese teachers. It's a bit of a trial and error thing, so you probably have to try a few until you find someone you like. But once you do that, you just have a nice steady rhythm for a very reasonable price. So this is really my go-to site. Next is reading. So reading is a little bit tricky because there's literally an endless amount of reading material available online. So rather than tell you what I like to read, I'm going to share with you my advice for the best tools that will guide you on how to read. And the best way to understand this is just to take a quick look. This is Nikkei.com. It's one of the main financial media outlets in Japan. So let's say I want to read about what's going on with Corona here. It's getting a little bit better recently. Let's keep our fingers crossed. So yeah, okay, I'm reading all these things, and 前後で確認された, what is this? I don't know what this means, right? In Japanese, let's say. So I got this tool called Rikaikun. Japanese. And what it does is when I hover my mouse over any kind of text, it gives me the reading and the definition in English, which is really useful. Now, This one, Dikaikun, is for Japanese. There's one, I think it's called Zhongwen something for Chinese. And there's a new one called, I think, Tuken, and it works with a lot of the Western languages. So you really have a bunch of different languages where you can use these tools for, and it really opens you to a whole variety of new kind of text. So definitely get these. These are free plugins.
And finally, writing. For me, writing is not so much about the physical act of handwriting, but just being able to express yourself in writing, even if it's typing on a computer, is really important because it gives you the ability to express yourself in a different form than verbally. And a lot of times, if you don't have that, it really limits the kind of communication that you can have. So this one is easy for me because I really love this website, and it's called Hi Native. And basically, it's community based. And what it does is it invites native speakers to correct language learners' sentences. And let's do a quick walk through it.
Hi Native. So basically, you can ask questions here. You have a bunch of different options. My favorite one is, does this sound natural? You can write whatever you want, and the native speakers say, hey, your writing is really natural, or hey, you might want to change a little bit. So I just did a trial one just a minute ago, and I made it a little bit half-assed so we can get an example of how this actually works. So I wrote this, whatever, これが自然に聞こえるんですか? Does it sound natural? And these are the results. And the native speaker said, hey, it's a little bit unnatural. Why? Yeah, of course, not これが, it's これは. And then to be more polite, you have to say 聞こえますか, not 聞こえる. Of course, I give them a like. Yeah, and the pricing for Hi Native is quite reasonable, and I totally go for this one.
And that's it. Those are all the tools you need to learn a new language. It's pretty simple, no? In terms of cost, let's see how much we came up with. $620 a year. Not so bad, huh? My estimation is if you put in about an hour a day on average working with these tools, you should be able to reach from 0 to conversational fluency in about a year. So if that's an investment that you're willing to make, go for it. If you want to get more tips about learning foreign languages, hit the subscribe button. See you next time.